Hey everyone, so this is my new addition to Back to Basics. This is one of the ones I've been really wanting to do, mainly because it has to do with acne, and I know I have a lot of subscribers that have acne and want to cover it. So this is my Back to Basics, how to conceal acne. This is just how to conceal acne the way or acne scarring. So this is the way I do it. There is plenty of other ways to do it, but this is the one product that I've always loved to conceal acne, especially my own. I love the coloring system of it, and I love the texture of it. Now there are two kinds of skin. There's oily and dry skin. Now I have oily skin, so I use this one product from MAC, which is Select Cover Up. There's a product for you that's Select Cover Up, and I am in the shade NC30. I love this product because it doesn't make my skin even more oily like most concealers do. When I put them, especially I have a lot of blemishes and scarring on my cheek area, as you can see. My cheek area is very oily, so I want a concealer that's going to stay matte and not get too slick on my face. So if you have drier skin, I would suggest you use the MAC Studio Sculpt, which comes in a jar kind of like this. This is the paint pot, but this is kind of like how the jar comes in MAC. It's in a jar and it's like a concealer, and the consistency is kind of like the Studio Finish concealer, which is this one. But it is a lot better. If you have a more drier skin and you do have blemishes, if you can't find the Studio Sculpt, then I would suggest getting the Studio Finish, which is this one. This is I use for under my eyes, so I don't really use it for my face, but it just depends on your shading. But this has a great consistency as well. It's a lot more creamier, so I would suggest this concealer from MAC if you have dry skin. But being as that I have oily skin, I like to use the Select Cover Up. Now I'm just going to pin my hair back and get it out of the way. And as you can tell, I have a lot of scarring. This is a scar, these are scars, as well as over here I have some open blemishes here, but I can cover them, which is the great thing about concealer. I've already applied a full face of the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Plus, which is my favorite foundation. It has a great light to medium coverage and is mattifying as well. So what I like to do is I take the concealer and I put it on the back of my hand and I just squirt out a bit. Actually a lot, because I do have a lot of scarring, so that amount. And the reason why I like to put it on the back of my hand is I can work off that palette, and the majority of the time I will use up all this concealer. So I take it onto my finger, which is my middle finger I like to work with. I kind of just mess it under a bit. And I like to highlight with this as well, so after I do my spots, which would be here and here, I'll just place it onto the areas where I have those spots, which is there, and down here. And I like to do a little bit more there and a little bit over here, because that's where I have a lot of my scarring, and I'll highlight a bit with it because it's a bit light. Put it around my mouth area because everybody's gets a little bit hormonal there, and they have a little bit of redness. I have a spot here, so I'm going to cover that. And right here. With all the concealers I suggested for you, you'll be able to do this. Only with this one you have to work quickly because it dries fast. So I'm going to just quickly blend this out, and I'm using my fingers, and I'm just going to blend this out with my finger. So when it comes to the cheek area where I have a lot more scarring, I like to pat it on. The reason I like to pat it on is because I feel like the product is placed onto my skin rather than moved around. If you move around the product too much, well, first off, this product won't move around that much, so you won't have that opportunity. But if you move around the concealer that you're using for acne, you won't be able to conceal it. You'll be moving around the product so much that it'll move too much, and you won't be able to nicely conceal everything. So I've concealed almost everything. As you can see, the discoloration has kind of dimmed down a bit, but I'm still going to go over a few more bits because I feel like I need a little bit more coverage. So I'm going to do that. And the main areas where I want to cover more are my cheek area. So I'm going to take a bit more of concealer. Like I said, you will go through this because especially you'll realize how many more blemishes you want to cover. And I'm going to cover one back here that I have. And I'm going to cover a little bit here. I have a little bit of discoloration there. A little bit over here. And I still have a lot more discoloration. I'm going to slap that on a bit. So you might say I use this more for the coverage, but that is the point of concealer. Foundation isn't supposed to cover anything, it's supposed to just even out your skin tone, which is what my foundation did. But concealer is meant to conceal all the imperfections of your skin. So I'm doing what the concealer is meant to be used for, which is concealing all of my imperfections. So make sure you're blending this out. I'm using my whole finger basically to pat it on and move it around. Now some people might say that I'm hitting my skin too much, but I know my skin. It may look like I'm hitting my face a little bit hard, but I know my own skin and I know that I'm not hurting myself. And you might say I'm tugging too hard, but my skin is quite oily, and as you know, oily skin isn't very prone to having wrinkles when it's older. So I'm not worried about getting wrinkles very much on my skin because I have very oily skin. So now I'm just kind of moving around, moving the leftovers on my hand around my area where I'm not really worried about. That doesn't really need much coverage on my nose. I'm not really worried about that. So I still have a tiny bit more, so I'm going to conceal whatever else I find, which might be this little blemish down here that I didn't conceal, one right here, and a couple down here. So I'm just going to use that to conceal those. Once again, I'm just patting it on. Now you can't conceal texture. As you can see, there's still a bump there, but you can't conceal texture. You can't immediately smooth out your skin with just makeup. Makeup just covers it. So I'm not gonna freak out or worry myself over the texture of my skin. So that's it. I'm completely done. As you can tell, my skin is a lot more even. You can't really see my imperfections very much anymore. I mean, obviously my camera is very close, and I doubt someone's going to be this close to your face, but I did as best as I can to conceal all my imperfections, and I think it's a good job. I can't really see much anymore. I still need to do my under eye concealer, but as far as the scarring and the acne discoloration, there isn't much that's there. So that's my favorite way of doing it. I've been doing this for almost a year now, and it's helped a lot, even when I had a lot of texture on my skin. Now that I have just the scarring, it still works. It's good. So even if you're transitioning between having a lot of acne and having just scars, this is a great concealer to pick up, or the Studio Finish. I would do, and if you're curious about the Studio Finish, if you have drier skin, this you can still pat on. The whole point of this was to show you the motions of doing it. I like to pat on the concealer, because not necessarily with your whole finger, but lightly, gently pat it onto your skin and not necessarily rub it around, because that will just remove the product from your skin. So I hope that was helpful and you guys got a better understanding how to conceal acne, and you understand that it's not there to take it off, but to just conceal it temporarily. So I hope that was helpful and you found that interesting. Thanks guys for watching. Bye.